reached out to Sarah. This is Sarah. I reached out.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. I'd like to convene the
I reached out.
Washington County Public Safety Committee meeting for Tuesday, June 27th. I'd like to entertain a motion to accept the minutes for our May 30th meeting. Motion by Sue, second by Dana. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Sheriff's Department. Sir.
How are you?
That works too.
Perfect. I am instead of the sheriff today. My glasses. We've got a burn jag grant that needs to be recognized. Oh, I'm sorry.
He's gonna vote no now. He's gonna vote no on your request because
They bought more than one. Chair.
So
It was a good thing we bought these chairs.
quick explanation of the burn jag.
Burn, it's federal money that we apply for. It'll pay for different things. I believe this one is probably going to DCGS. Usually they're body armor, things like that, police equipment. And it's a $25,000 grant that I believe we've already got, just need to recognize so that we can put it into account. Questioning the
Second from Dave.
Sure. Okay.
Dana Hogan. Dave. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
The last of the SBO contracts came through from Fort Ann, and we hope to get that recognized as well. They were the last ones to take care of it with their board and finally got back to us.
The hourly rate for that.
It's okay.
We'll just need it for personnel.
Okay.
Not to-
Made a 33-12.
Is there anybody that doesn't have them now? Covered
Well, that's my next point.
But wait, there's no button switch.
Oh, yes.
I got a question about
I don't even know who that is.
that. So is a motion to move to finance? Dana Hogan. Dave. Any other discussion on this vote? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
We are hoping to add to the staffing pattern for next year, an SPO. And at least one SPO at the moment. Which we've actually got inquiries from several schools, Salem, Fort Edward. Both.
So only one spoke?
Well, we don't have commitments from either school, so we're hoping to get one commitment and then get one SPO week. Our Greenwich SPO is on a long-term disability, so we've been using Frank Borbola as a part-time kind of filling in. Kevin Saunders, the Greenwich SPO, was injured himself, so he's been out, and it's going to be an extended period of time. So we're hoping to keep filling him with Frank Borbola, but also get that extra spot in there in case one of these two schools comes to fruition over the summer.
So it's for
So you
now.
mean next
Yes.
school?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yes.
Okay.
I'm hoping I explained that.
No.
So it kind of makes sense.
Yep. So we'll be looking at it next budget cycle.
Actually, this budget.
It's
It's for
start
now.
this
Yeah, so we
fall.
would start
Oh, that's
September.
We
right.
have to go to personnel.
Well, we won't know what the
Just
rate
pass
is
it
right
around.
until.
Correct.
I'm sorry, hold on. Dave,
It's just passing for us, so it's not gonna affect others.
But you set the rates in the, so we won't know the rate, we'll just authorize it.
It's just staffing pattern.
right. Yes, sir.
Do you have the staff, the people to, if you got 2 or 3 more requests, can you find those people to put those slots?
We hope so.
Okay.
We hope so. The
Have you been
pool-
using retired?
That's
deputies in
what
the
we-
past?
yes.
Okay.
Retired deputies, retired police officers,
Okay.
retired state police officers, so.
How about retired supervisors?
Provided you meet the minimum requirements.
Well, I think it's all to meet the requirements.
I don't think they have.
There's one in this room I know does.
Yeah.
I'm not sure they want me back.
You were the kid.
I can't fit in those seats that you.
So, this is information right now, until we have the rate, we really can't. I mean, you gotta get some back from school.
Right, we're looking for a staffing pattern change, so.
We wanna add a
That'll
slot.
be personnel.
So we gotta
But we have to go through, yes, go through you guys to get this.
motion to go to personnel with this. Dave says yes, second. Dana Hogan. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? And you get all the motion carried, you get all the information.
Thank you, yes.
See you in personnel.
Yeah, and one more
Right,
thing,
Matt?
we have a resolution to move some money for the live scan update. We need to move 15,100 from revenue to an expense account. It's the live scan update is something we were anticipating IT, we put in their budget, but it actually got left out, so we are the last police agency on the old live scan system right now. So when we put stuff in, it still works, but we don't have access to anybody else's repository, and they don't have access to our repository. This upgrade will upgrade here, the jail, the roadside, the jail side, and Salem. So it's actually, I negotiated a best deal I could. I nickel and dime as much as I could.
And I worked with the sheriff, we've identified a couple of accounts that he's actually done better than budget on, so there'd be no, we're just gonna recognize the additional revenue, so no impact technically on the county.
Thank you for that.
Yes.
Appreciate it. Any other questions?
Move to finance?
Motion to move to finance. Matt, Dave, Sue. Any other discussion? Zero tax budget's a good thing. Thank you. All those in favor? Aye, opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you very much.
Board of Wood starts Saturday.
Yes. Yes.
July 1st.
Ready to roll? Thank you, folks. Thank you.
Tony, sir, if you would like, you can, okay, doesn't matter to me.
That's the preferred.
I'll get done by the time I get around to the front.
I think this Ziploc bag is scaring people.
Can we take it?
So we get, through the state of our victim services, Office of Victim Services gives us a 3-year grant. But each year they award, and I'm told that we need to come in to get a resolution to recognize the Office of Victim Services grant for their fiscal year, which is October 1, 2023 through September 30, 2024, in the amount of $144,773.01.
Motion to recognize. Sue, Dave second, Dana seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Okay. Thank you, sir. Other business, the only thing that I would like to mention for everybody is something we're looking at. Animal control, not dog control, but animal control where the district attorney or the sheriff's department may need services by basically housing for animals that fall under a criminal instance, where we got to take care of the animals. They're obligated to do that. SPCA is unfortunately not doing well financially, so I don't think they're taking on any services right now. And right now, if we had a problem, the sheriff's department and the DA's department would be trolling for somebody to take an animal if they have to have somebody take an animal on a weekend or a holiday or something like that. So we've got to come up with a solution. And we're not sure what that looks like yet, but Warren County's put an RFP out. And we're hoping to not use that RFP, but use it to inform us, right? Try to figure out, we may have to go with an RFP ourselves. And what we're looking at is essentially like what each of our towns, I'm assuming, does with dog control. If we have a service for a kennel, it's a contracted service fee plus per diem, whatever case, that goes out. So that's at least a possibility, but we don't know what that looks like yet. So anyone on the committee has any ideas, we really appreciate that, but I want to let everybody know that that's a gap right now that's developing in our services to support our district attorney and our sheriff.
In the towns of dog control, we get periodic reports where Ag Markets does an inspection of the shelter. But you're talking about a pasture with fences and stuff for horses, cows. Would it have to be a shelter?
So it has to be able to take large animals. So to answer your question, I don't think it has to be shelter. I mean, with it comes obligation of perhaps veterinary services and stuff like that. So right now, the only thing we've got going for us, I think the sheriff does, and the DA is that's the first thing on the Rolodex is to start calling vets to see if a vet has any capacity to do it.
Yeah, I think we tend to think of it as large animals. We've had this horse case most recently, it could be anything from alpacas to parrots. I'm not sure what the Ag Markets regs are on any of that stuff.
Yeah.
Good thing it's DA's job.
I think smile.
Isn't there a lot of room down at the chairman's farm in our island?
Oh, I think Skelly's has some room to farm over there.
Bring back to the DA's house.
Exotics would take a special license to sell parrots and some of the other things that you have around. People just can't take those. They require a certain kind of limits.
Yeah.
What have we done in the past, or
SPCA's better.
Warren County SPCA?
Upstate.
Upstate?
Near the airport.
Okay, and they're no longer gonna do it. So we don't know of any other vendor per se that will
So they were
kick slack.
providing those services. They had asked for a significant amount of money from Warren and Washington County so that they can continue operating. They had asked, I think originally for $180,000 a year. Warren County decided just to put out an RFP and not pay that amount to Upstate. I believe Upstate, probably is closing. They told me to find ulterior options that they would not be able to help us without the funding that they requested. So we are currently looking into the RFP, see what else is out there. It's really just for criminal abuse cases. Because obviously you have your dog control in your towns, but it's that criminal and abuse cases where we just don't have anyone to call at this time other than a veterinarian.
Do we have data on how many times it's used?
I asked for that. I think they gave me 3 years ago, we used them, say 4 times. And then the year after that, we used them probably 5 and nothing this year.
So
Was it a significant? 180,000.
180,000, it was not like non-negotiable. That's
It's
kind
a
of
flat, flat. So if we have 12 times we need to use them, it's 180, or we use them once, it's 180?
They were looking for that complete funding.
Wow,
When I
that's-
reached out to them, I asked if they'd be interested in some kind of, contract and then pay them as we use them. And there wasn't interest in that.
Yes, David.
I know with a dog, so I have one, that if it's criminal animal abuse case and it gets adopted, What do you do with a cow? Do you adopt it to your freezer? How does that work? I mean,
Always producing cow, so farming bacon.
Well, it matters, you know, what the court order was at the end of the case. Court tells you you gotta do it.
And I believe that's half of the problem there is that it has to be held or taken care of during that time when that proceeding is
Court,
taking
Yeah, while it's
place,
evident.
right?
We're obligated to remove the animal from the situation, provide the animal with veterinary services, and house the animal until such time as it becomes known by the court what we would do.
this is livestock, and I think Ag and Markets treats livestock differently than dogs.
Yes.
And it has a hoof. So
You're thinking in terms of animal, you really need to think in terms of evidence preservation.
So they know the 4 times, or 5 times, the length of time that they had to hold those animals for, because well, what it sounds like a lot, it may not be a lot. You do the math on how long they had to store these animals for.
I don't know if they gave me that information as far as the length of time. The number of animals was quite large for the horses and the cows, but I don't know that I have the time frame that they have.
it was 4 months.
Not to beat a dead horse here, but Tony, on the one we had in Granville, there was an animal abuse, SPCA came in and took all the 32 horses. And they found a place for them, and then the owner had 5 days from the first court arraignment or whatever, to put up a bond to pay for the veterinary care and the feed and all that kind of stuff. And she didn't do it, she didn't buy the bond. So all the horses got distributed, they're all gone now. But if they put up the bond, that's supposed to pay for all that veterinary care and feeding and all that stuff. Am I correct on that?
That's the intent behind that provision. I think the real issue is for the sheriff's department, all of our law enforcement partners is, well, and more importantly, probably dispatch, is somebody's gonna call 911 and say, I just drove by this field and there are 2 dead cows and a bunch of emaciated looking animals. And so when they show up, they need someone to call, right? If it's an abused individual who's bleeding, they call an ambulance. This is that equivalent. It's that who's going to respond when the phone rings.
So it's been at SPCA,
Sometimes,
and but that's off the table now unless we pony up a big check.
Correct.
And the SPCA had a vet, so as you know,
I'm sorry, had what?
the SPCA had a vet. So as you know, Lennon, Tim would probably tell you, every time a horse is on its side in the field does not mean the horse is under duress, but it will generate a bazillion calls. So that when Deputy Smith goes out there to look at this horse, he does need somebody to tell him, is this horse in distress or is this just a horse laying on its side that's gonna get up in a minute? That's the immediate need. If the horse is then determined to be maltreated, mistreated, whatever, then the horse needs to be just like a child or an adult, needs to be removed from that situation. So you have the immediate response issue of, I just saw something. The deputy gets there, he's not a vet, he doesn't know if the animal, absent clear evidence if there's a problem. So we need somebody to call for that, and then we need to move them in someplace for them.
It probably isn't even a good idea, but Washington County Fair in August has hundreds of animals there. Could something be done with the fair grounds, fair? They have animal stalls and just don't have any pasture.
They come with the people that take care of it too. So somebody still have to be careful when you're temporarily lodging.
Is there qualifications to be a vendor in this RFP? They've got to meet certain criteria, I would think, that say that you can handle X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, we haven't put any, I haven't put any time into writing an RFP yet, but yes, there's gonna be qualifications.
But you piggyback off the warrant.
Well, yeah, I will talk to the county administrator in Warren County. We've been in contact, we've been talking about it. They're kind of in the same boat we are.
So it was more informational to say, we got another problem on the horizon, or it's here. As far as we can tell, based on what we know about SPCA. So next time we'll put that on the agenda. Hopefully we'll have some more information, some other options to consider. Thank you for that. Any other?
Here, I just have one more thing I'd like to bring up.
Is
I got a phone call from one of my residents in Fort Ann, who indicated that where they live over on Grey Goose Road, which is the eastern part of Fort Ann, off of 22, that majority of people on their insurance companies had raised their fire insurance. And what she was told by the insurance company was it's because they live more than the village fire department in Fort Ann that covers them is 8 miles away. So they're more than 5 miles away. So that's why they increased their insurance. We'd have to provide some kind of a letter. North Granville is a mile and a half from where the home is. And I just know the supervisors had been experienced that issue, if this is something going through the industry or if it's, she's totally confused on what they said to her.
I know some policies are distance to the nearest hydrant. Then you can kind of fake that as a dry hydrant, or pressurized hydrant. And others are distance to the firehouse, because they think the fire would have to go from the firehouse to the hydrant anyway. But in Hartford, about 2 years ago, they increased their capacity of tankage, and they had a letter that actually decreased your insurance. That won't help you.
So what about mutual aid? Wouldn't that figure into it?
That's my question. Is there a territorial aspect of this that North Granville, which is a mile and a half away, couldn't go and be the first one without permission from Fort Ann because it's in the town of Fort Ann?
I think it's just a distance. I think it's a distance. I don't care. I don't think they, well, I don't know. But well, my understanding was they don't care which firehouse is the closest one.
It's under contract.
They don't ask that question. Just how far away are you from the nearest one?
I had this experience because we used to have coverage by Fairhaven coming in. We call Logan, or Fulton cross coverage. Has to be 5 miles from a firehouse. It actually has a truck and a ladder on it. But it's 5 miles. If after that, insurance rates could go up. But even if you were eating with alternative fuels sources like wood, it's potential you may not get insurance if you're more than 5 miles away.
Sam, isn't part of Grey Goose in Granville? I think it is.
Yeah.
So it's on the same road.
It borders it, yeah, right down on the.
So you're thinking that maybe the people on my side are getting the discount and your people aren't, and they're the same
According
distance
to what
away?
she said, yeah, she pointed out that she was in the town of Fort Ann.
Something doesn't add up there.
Well, and I can't believe all the insurance, I don't believe they all use the same insurance company. So I think she's a little skewed there to everybody because we're two of that. Well, I guess my concern was if we have mutual aid, I don't know why that wouldn't cover that situation. And then what would we need to do to?
Do you think the mailing address is messing up? Because the mailing address is actually Whitehall.
Yeah.
On Grey Goose Road.
Yeah,
It's
true.
the Granville phone number and a Fort Ann township.
Old, Washington County?
Everybody's seeing the increase. I think we should be again.
Thank you.
Yes, everybody is seeing a rate increase, myself included.
Looks like great.
Okay.
Gotcha. I would get it in writing.
Yeah.
So it's not like that's.
Thank you.
Sharon?
One other, had quite an incident over at the sheriff's department the other night. Fellow that showed up with a shotgun that was threatening suicide. They did a marvelous job from my perspective. There were at least 3 instances in there went under Article 35. They could have shot him. They did not. They took him in custody. Getting care and treatment now. I plan on doing a proclamation for the officers involved at the next board meeting. Hope you'll make it able to hear it.
Yes, well done. I saw that message from the sheriff. Appreciate it. And Glenn, you raised your hand, sir.
Sorry for not getting this on the agenda.
That's all right.
We'd like to award from our RFP for the master service agreement. We had one respondent who met all of the qualifications. both ours, FEMA's and the states. So that's Tetra Tech, who we've used before.
Motion by Dana,
After they do,
Our planning, exercising, anything that we have with our grants that are requirements.
second by Dave. Any other discussion? That's a good question. So we're talking about the contract to come in and review all of our countywide emergency plans. Ensure they're up to date and compliant with all state and federal mandates.
mouthful.
Yep. And we're gonna pay them a lot of money for it too.
How long does that take?
It's a 3-year contract. Because it's grant, all of our planning and exercises is all grant funded. So it all depends on the grant cycle.
You have numerous. So it's kind of a continuous.
Yes, sir. And we have that new one that we have out there as well. That we're mandated.
Yes.
So due to the price of this or the cost associated with the full board.
Motion to move to full board for approval. Got those. Second.
How much
Any other
money?
discussion?
It's per the plan and what's in the grant.
So
So
how much
there's,
is that gonna cost to obtain tech?
it depends on, so they have hourly rates depending on who's doing what. So it's, say the hazard mitigation grant is $145,000. So that's $145,000 that would go towards that. No, they can't go over that amount of money. So it's all depending on the grant. It's, and the plan that we're doing depends on the amount of money.
Thank God, I understand that answers it. Okay.
You want to let this question, if you're not pronouncing it.
Nice, sir.
Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
That was in the middle of both.
That was a long
That was a
one.
joke.
Yes, thank you for that one.
That's
Is there any other
Like shade.
for this committee? If not, we are adjourned. Thank you.